Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is well. I'm just going into YouTube to automatically lower it. Why? Is anybody there? Let's turn this monitor. Just waiting for people to show up. Configuring the last few things here. All right, good. Who's here? Hello. I hope you guys can hear me well. What's up, Nez? I hope everything is good. I'll just wait for a few people to come on. This is going to be a quick video. I'll cover this topic, do a little bit of Q&A, but I have something to take care of a little later. What's this? All right. Yes. How are you? Good morning. How you doing? Okay, let's get this in place. All right. Cool. Chicago. Fantastic. Khalid from Jordan. Hello. Howdy, Mr. Rob. How are you? I hope everything is good. All right, how are we doing here? 36. So I'll wait for a few more people to get on, then I'll jump into it a little bit. What do you about dropping big time? What to do about the cost of websites dropping big time? Well, I guess it depends on the type of websites, but you just leverage tools that will speed up the process of building sites, right? Evening, Madame runs with pencil. Hope everything is good. Good evening. Hello, everybody. Uganda, wow, very cool. Hola. Love from the UK. Love back to you from Canada. It's cold in Chicago. How's it up there? It's getting pretty cold, below zero, and we're getting snow. We got a little bit of a break today, but it's the winter is here, solidly here. North Carolina. Actually, I drove through North Carolina about 8 months ago or 9 months ago. Very cool. Hey, how are you? From Somalia. Wow. Cool. We hear you from Somalia. Fantastic. That's what's amazing. Belgium, Somalia, North Carolina, Chicago, the UK, East Africa. Wow. Oh, yeah. Somalia. Fantastic. Cool. The world is smaller than you'd think. Pittsburgh, wow. Kenya, Jesus. Wow. Lyric says, can you make a video about advantage of having a computer science degree, please? Reason why is because I am considering to go to university. Very simple. If you want to work for very large organizations, a comp sci degree will be very helpful. If you're more entrepreneur-oriented, small business-oriented, large comp sci degree, less useful. There you go. If it's free and you're young and you're not pressed to make money, then why not? As beginners, should I include a project I build following a course in my portfolio? You should always try to build your portfolio site, especially as a beginner, and you should include real world work if you can. That's the best. Yeah. Shakib, I know WordPress, JS, PHP, CSS. I worked on some projects. What do you advise for me to do become more complete as a WordPress developer? I think you're good now. I think you put up your site, your demo site, profile the work that you've done, and then start reaching out to people, improve your communication skills. We hear you from Egypt. Wow, very cool. I love the international audience, a lot of fun. Stef, love your content. I always want to ask you, what do you mean by searching for your local market? Do you just mean going to job boards, seeing what languages they ask for? That's a start. You can do that. Go to job boards, Indeed.com, start asking around. Do you know anybody who works for any company that's involved in IT in some way? You can try that. A little, schmoozing is a word that means to talk to different people, So you can do all of the above, Because it takes a little while to get established. Who knows? Could take you 3 months, 6 months, depends. Could take you a year. But once you're established, then it just rolls. So, will you publish a WordPress course in the future? I might do like a basic intro course. I'm because I got my foundational courses out there, which are pretty much evergreen and constant, I update when they need to be updated. But I'm reluctant to do courses on various tech, like whether it be WordPress or some Stack or Mern or Node or Angular, because there are already lots of stuff out there. And once you've done my fundamentals, or you already know the fundamentals, you don't really need courses, because you could just go to the docs and go, oh, okay, yeah, that's how you do it, and you're done. Sergeant Camacho, yo, Stef, good to see you again. You too. Thanks for joining the stream. React, Vue, or Angular, depends on the project. For me, solo, or if I was a solo guy, small business, Vue. Job-wise, you're probably better at React. Very large organization, probably Angular. Use Nginx instead of WordPress. It's a dumpster fire. Much love for everyone. What's the best way to practice and improve JavaScript skills while learning? Write code, and write more code. Just write code, break the code. All right, I didn't give much notice, so not too many people are showing up this time around. It's also a holiday weekend in the U.S., so happy Thanksgiving to my American friends and my family in America. So I'm just going to jump into the subject very quickly, and then I'll do a little bit more Q&A. So, yeah. So it's from an email I got from somebody a while back. Here it is. And so I'm going to read this up, and then I'll answer the questions and take it from there. Hold on a second. There we go. I really appreciate the way, right up here, I really appreciate the way you make things easy in the IWD course, which is my WebStack course, my old one. I also have a question about reading other people's code. I'm managing a WordPress site now, and have to make some, let me zoom back here, some changes to an installed plugin. The problem is that whenever I open the source code, I feel lost. A lot of complex code that usually ends up calling other functions from different files, and I just feel lost, and frustrated. Is there any advice I should follow to make things easier? For example, flowcharts, debugger, or just reading from top to bottom? It feels like it shouldn't be that hard. Any advice will be appreciated. Thanks. So I answered back. All right, so I'll read off my little bullet points here, and then I'll get into the discussion quickly. Complex could not, and okay, I didn't write very well here. Basically, I would say complex code and not understanding complex code is not your fault, typically. That's one of the biggest problems with maintaining old code bases, is trying to understand what the previous developers were trying to do in their code. That's why I say well-written code is supposed to be simple. A lot of WordPress plugins don't follow standards or any standards, so they can be all over the place and very difficult to update. Debugging other people's code is one of the worst aspects of programming. This is true. And in fact, it can be so bad, debugging other people's code. I remember I had a conversation years and years ago. I was at a wedding, and one of the guests was a developer at Microsoft. And he was one of the developers on the Microsoft Office team, and he was specifically involved in the Word, programming Word, the word processor. And I asked him, I said, well, why, Word, I forget what it was, version 98 of Word was 300 megs and version 2000 was a gig. Why did it get so much bigger? And he explained to me what happens. The code base is so messy, he was telling me, that nobody dared touch the established code base in Word. So what they would do is they would just build on top of it. They would create a layer on top of it. That's actually a design pattern called facade. If you want to learn about design patterns, which you should if you want to improve your coding skills, there's a link below to a book that I highly recommend. It's on design patterns. If you want to up your code game, once you know your fundamentals, learn design patterns and learn refactoring. That's the two things you got to learn. And then you're going to become like a maniac coder. You're going to level up hard with that. Anyway, so nobody wanted to touch the established code base, so they would just build layers on top of it. So that's why you would see the code bases get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger in commercial products, because people just don't want to touch old code base. So it's very common when you crack open code that other people have written, whether it be WordPress plugins or whatever, that's going to be very difficult to read a lot of the times. It's just the nature of the game. So let me get back to it. Older code bases are by nature messy. My advice is to try and break down the pieces. So if you got a WordPress plugin that you're trying to debug, first of all, you got to go to the forums if they have any support forums. Go to the creator of the plugin if they have. This is one of the reasons why big companies will want to work only with companies whose software is supported, has a support contract to go along with it, because it's a real pain to try to debug other people's code. It's a pain to debug your own code. Imagine other people's code. So don't feel depressed. Don't feel bad when you open up code and it's like, oh my. It's part 4 of the course, as to say. It's very common. And should also remind you, when you think about that, when you are writing your own code, that you write the code as simply as easy as possible, so that whether somebody else after you comes to write it, or yourself 6 months later or a year later, you may forget what it is you were trying to do or how you did it. So especially if you're writing code and you have some specific things that you're doing, you come to a crossroads in your code. It happens often enough where you can do this or you can do this in the way you structure it. When you do make your decision, you should note in the code base why you made that decision, what the considerations were. Just a short note. Don't write a book. But we did this because this, and this, and this. These are the main considerations. So this way, 6 months, a year from now, you can look and say, okay, this is why we did that. Because trust me, you are going to forget in 6 months. There's no question about that. All right, so that's my answer. Yeah, so there you go. What are short codes in WordPress? I forget, it's been a while now. I think those are just basically function calls made in a user-friendly format, if I recall. Vlad has to say, I've been developing custom web apps for years, but when my boss made me do WordPress recently, it was like the code base is so different from Laravel, Spring, etc. Still learning it. Yeah. See, Laravel, Spring, they follow tried and tested design patterns. The WordPress dudes were doing their own thing. So even though you're highly experienced, you're having a hard time understanding it. It's not because of your inability, it's because they just decided to write it a particular way. And you're going to have to figure that one out. Have fun. Keep it simple and comment often. Yeah, pretty much. Also, make sure your code is self-describing. So when you read the code tells a story just by reading the variable names, and the function names, and the method names, etc. That it will help a long way with understanding what the code is. Yeah, try to tell a story with the code itself. The less comments you need to put, the better your code is, if you follow what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying don't put any comments. Sometimes you have to, but I'm saying if you write clear, concise, self-describing code, the need for comments is diminished, which is good. It is important to know SQL, Docker, Kubernetes as a web dev. SQL. The other two are optional, but SQL for sure. Your opinion about one-page parallax sites, where to use that style and where to avoid it. Thanks. Very simple things, maybe some branding. That would be fine. Parallax, don't use it too much unless you want to create a wow impression, because if you're trying to convey information and they got to go through all these special effects, it's going to be distracting and they may not get the whole point of the site to begin with, or the page. So that's my, you always got to be careful with the fancy pants technologies and stuff. I remember a classic example was back when Flash, Macromedia Flash, became Adobe Flash. It was very big. And when it first started getting really big, and I think it was the late 90s, late 90s, and everybody in the Flash world and all these websites started doing Flash intros. So you come to a site and the Flash would load up, a Flash intro would load up, which is basically a Flash animation. You know, and do all kinds of fancy stuff, just like kind of like an intro to a TV show or a movie, you know, boom, 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 boom. So it became a rage. Everybody got to have a flash intro. So you go see your clients and you say, well, you got to have a flash intro. And they go, why do you have to have a flash intro? Everybody has a flash intro. And then the client would go, okay, I guess we got to have a flash intro. So everybody was building flash intros because it looked so cool. So the owner of the site, wow, look how cool my site is. And the guy who's building it is having a good time because he's building something cool. But what happened is once all these flash intros were deployed and built, people discovered that flash intros weren't appreciated by people actually visiting the websites. And in fact, the second most clicked button on the internet was a skip intro, because you'd have a flash intro and people said, oh, maybe we should put a little skip intro button so people don't have to sit there and watch this 10-second or 15-second flash intro. Maybe people are going to a site just to get the information. They don't want to see your flash intro. Anyway, so they had this skip intro button that you would build into it so people could bypass your flash intro. And they found that the second most clicked button on the web was skip intro. The first was the back button on the browser. The second was skip intro. Long story short, no intros. That's why in my YouTube videos, I don't have an intro, because who wants to see the intro? They just want to hear the subject. That's it. I try to get to the point quickly as I can, you know. So now, Ula, can you share sources from where I can learn WordPress development? Courses on Udemy are outdated. WordPress development. I don't know any particular sources now, but you should know first your HTML and your CSS very well. You should know your PHP well and your JavaScript well. If you got those down, then to learn WordPress should be pretty easy, relatively speaking. You know, in terms of like, well, the theming, you know, I include a theming course in my developer package. But plugin development, I've never done that. But you should be able to do that, you know. God's will. Should I purchase premium WordPress themes and edit it, or always build WordPress from scratch? Top 3 rules of programming. Rule number 1 is to reuse. Rule number 2 is to reuse. And rule number 3 is to reuse. So if you can find a theme that is supported, that you could pay $50 for, or whatever it is, $100 for even, or $25, whatever, and it meets your needs, then I would go there first, because it's going to save you a lot of time and money in the end. I want to learn C#. Any recommendations? How much C# do I need to start picking up some easy projects? Well, if you want to freelance as a developer, C# is not your best choice. As a freelance developer, it is not a shot in C#. It's a great language. It's just that language is typically used for larger organizations, so they're not going to hire people who are new to the game. They're going to hire people with degrees or people who have experience. Yeah, so I would go with like PHP or JavaScript in that case, if you're doing independent jobs. Is web development career dying out? What's your opinion? Not even close. I think it's continuously evolving, but it's not dying out. What we had to do in the 1990s is radically different from the way things were done in 2003, which is radically different from the way things were done in 2010. But since about 2012 or so, 2013, 14, in terms of the coding, it's pretty stable. It's pretty stable with some little variation here and there. But yeah, web development is just evolving as it typically does. How old are you really? I know not 100 for sure. 169. 169. It's pretty believable. 269. Yeah, I used to be 269, but I got younger. No, I never hit 300. What's going on here? Somebody's calling me. Not important. All right. What is dying out when I want to start on it? What is dying out when I want to start? No, it's not dying out, Imran. Imran Khan. Do not worry about that. It's not dying out. Thought on PHP 8. I have not looked at it yet. It's just, I think, I remember reading about it a while back when there was, early days of development of it. And from what I recall, and it's vague, basically PHP 8 has much more to do with larger projects, increasing, I suppose, the sophistication of it and the tool set that you have in the PHP world so that it better aligns with Java and C# and so on. But for most projects, I don't think it's going to have much of an impact, so I wouldn't be so concerned about it. Lyrics ask a question that I get asked a lot. Do you need to know a lot about math or computer science? In the courses you do, in the universities you do, because they just make that a requirement. But in reality, unless you're doing AI, it's not important. See what Anthony has to say. How we do for time? Okay. I've been learning coding for 2 months now. Which paradigm mostly used in real life? OOP, FP, or procedural program? I'm not sure which to focus on, when to use which. Most of the time it's OOP. Functional programming is niche. Procedural, you might find a little procedural and very small things and old school stuff. But generally speaking, for app development, it's OOP. For app development, it's OOP. Web development is going to continue to grow. Focus on Jamstack, developing and integrating apps, and serverless architecture. That's okay. Let's go. We got. I'm currently mastering my web fundamentals so I can put up a website and start offering my apps. C# for web, Python for apps. Do you think that's a good path to take? When you mean apps, you mean mobile? If you're doing mobile, I would, you're going to go native, either native, which is Kotlin for Android, Swift for iOS, or you're going to go hybrid, Flutter, PWA, that kind of thing. Even progressive web, progressive web app is but PWA, of course, or even responsive, I meant to say. Hold on, what did he say? Software in my web app, C#. For the web, again, as an independent contractor, freelancer, you're going to find much more work in the PHP, lesser Java. Python is more for AI, ML, for system processing, that kind of stuff. But you might find work. What's your favorite car? Well, I drive an S5. I drive Audi, which I still like quite a bit. I think the Targa, Porsche Targa, but it's a little small for me. I could fit in it, but I remember sitting in, it seemed a little cramped. But yeah, see now I got a place downtown, and I'm right in the heart of the city, so I do drive, but hardly any more compared to what I used to drive because of where I am now. Everything is in walking distance, All right. Ahmed Hassan says, I've been working as a web developer Spring for 2 years, Java Spring, just in case people don't know. And I feel kind of outdated because we are using Spring without any unit testing or any of the good stuff. So what do I need to learn? You learn on a need-to-nerd basis. This is my principle I've been teaching for a few years now. There's so much to learn that you got to let the jobs dictate what it is you're going to learn. Get paid to learn. That's what I say. So when something comes up where unit testing is required, then you learn unit testing. If you want to dabble on your own and you're thinking of leaving the Spring world, Spring and Java, then the first thing I do is always tell people, look to jobs. Look at the job market out there and see where the demand is. And then also look at, once you get an idea about that, then you can start maybe dabbling in different technology on the side to see what you kind of like. But the first thing you got to do is you got to look for the job opportunity, because you may say, I love ActionScript, Flash ActionScript. You may say, it's the best. But if there's no work in it, it's kind of useless to learn it, right? So start by looking at the opportunities, then you look at the stacks in of themselves. How are we doing here? All right. Visionale says, hey, Stefan, Ali this side. I want to start freelancing, but still stuck with approaching. Want some points on it. Thank you. Well, make sure you have a really nice looking website so when people check you out, they go, wow, this guy, Ali, does really good work. That's the first thing. Make sure you have very well-written copy on your site. That's the text. And then you got to start putting out feelers on social, job sites, etc. But the first thing you got to make sure is that that website is beautiful, so that people are impressed and they want to work with you, you know? Oh, just in case you guys haven't noticed, if you look this. So, it's Black Friday here in North America, probably in Europe. So it's super special day. Ruby Rules is a coupon that I put out, and it's for 50% off anything on the StudioWeb store. You see the link below. Any of the courses, any of the packages, any of the certifications, 50% off. I don't know if I ever put out a 50% off coupon before. I put out coupons once in a while, usually they're 20, 25% off. So this is Ruby Rules is a 50% coupon, 50. So I'm just pointing that out just in case you are interested. You've been waiting for the opportunity. It's again, it's the Black Friday sale time, so everybody has sales now. So I figured I should. If you were to pick one, which would it be and why? If I were to pick one, what? God's will. See if he's there. Here we go. Have you tried mobile app development, and what would you recommend, web or M mobile dev? Web or mobile dev? I've never written native mobile code. I've experimented with it, but I've never felt the need because I would just build things with responsive technologies, responsive sites, so use the web stack. If you want to freelance, there's probably more work as the web developer. I always suggest web because web, you could do websites, you could go into e-commerce, you could go WordPress, you can do mobile via PWA or via responsive. But if you just do, let's say, Kotlin programming, that's all you're doing is that. So you're cutting out a lot of work potential. If you just do iOS with Swift, for example, you're just doing that and you're cutting out a lot of work potential. So my choice, to be clear, is not based on the quality of the technology, the language. It's really based on my perception about the maximum job opportunities. So first thing you do is check out the jobs. All right, let's see. My supervisor wanted me to learn WordPress to create a theme from scratch. That's cool. And I see that writing in WordPress is messy. Writing code in WordPress is messy. And more the theme getting bigger, the code become more messy and complex. Well, that's the challenge, right? Is to have a clean theme code. So what I would do, if your boss or supervisor wants you to write a theme from scratch, you should first determine what the needs of the theme are going to be. Like, I assume there's some end goal, right? He wants you to build a WordPress site or something. I don't know. What is the end desire in terms of the functionality that the theme may need to have that WordPress may not provide natively? Number one. Number two, what's the basic style structure? Is it going to be 2-column? Is it going to be 3-column? Is it going to be magazine style? Who knows, right? So you got to look at those two things. So when you get those two answers from your supervisor, then you can look for theme templates that you can work from. Like WordPress comes with built-in themes that are free, that are open source, and perhaps you could start from there and build out whatever theme that you may want to build out. Again, I don't know your use case, and I don't know what the end goal is here. I, again, would stress that it's probably be better just to find a commercial theme that needs just some minor modifications, okay? Good evening to you. Yeah, what time is it now for me? It's 3 o'clock. All right, we'll be wrapping this up soon. What's going on here? Oh boy. We got some production. Okay, no, that's okay. I'm hooked up to Slack, so the StudioWeb's Learning SaaS and the StudioWeb e-commerce SaaS, if you will. Well, it's not SaaS, but system. It's hooked up to Slack and it sends messages, certain, whether it be errors or certain types of transactions, I get notified. Batmobile. Yeah, that'd be a cool car. Umar. I am second computer student, second year, I suppose he's trying to say. What do you think about mobile? Should I choose web? I think I just answered that question. Mr. Greyjoy, how's Stef? How are you? I'm good. I'm pretty good. Thanks for asking. I've been doing a lot of shopping because I'm about to do some renovations in the room here. So I've been looking at marble, in fact. I don't know, do I have any? Oh. This is a slab they sent me. See if it's going to look good in my place. I don't know. What do you guys think? White marble, not bad, huh? All right. How are we doing? Okay, 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. A few more questions. Why Ruby Rules? This is the coupon code for a StudioWeb store. Links below. This gives you 50% off. I thought it would be funny to put that in there. If people know anything about this channel. We'll end off with Michael here. As a self-taught developer, do you think it's a good idea to take a computer science course like CS50, or is it better to just focus on specific Lang fundamentals? First question, do you need to make money fast, or are you still living at home? If you need to make money fast, get into the game. If you have time, you're still living at home, you're still quite young, and you have some time, and you think you might want to work for larger corporations, get the degree. If the degree is not super expensive, you don't want to find yourself with 30, 40, 50,000 student loan debt. That's evil. The worst debt you could possibly have is student loan debt because it's non-dischargeable, meaning you can't get rid of it through bankruptcy, which is pernicious in my opinion. So that's what I would do. You have to think about what are your goals, right? I think that over time, the importance of a degree will diminish because you got all these guys like Elon Musk and Apple and Google saying degrees are really not that important in the tech space. But, you know, there you go. I think I answered that question. I am a 14-year-old boy from India. Did you recommend me some resource for improving my development skills? If you know how to write code, you know your basics, I would just start writing more code. The more you write code, build things, the better you're going to get, so it becomes natural. Just write more code. Good time to start. 14 years old, fantastic. I want to get O'Reilly's subscription. Do you recommend it? I haven't looked at O'Reilly in years, but they're traditionally the best publisher for tech books. If the subscription is reasonable in terms that you can afford it and it's not too, why not? You know, take it for a year or so or 6 months, whatever you need. If you want to really get deep into it, like, you know, what I did back in the day, I used to spend $3,000 to $4,000 a year on tech books. No joke. And I would read tons of tech books. So I have a broad range of knowledge from years and years of doing that. And in fact, I realized after a few years of spending thousands of dollars, I said, my God, I'm spending so much money on tech books. I started writing articles and doing reviews, and then I would get the publishers to send me books. But to me, it was worth to spend the thousands of dollars a year on textbooks because the amount of money you make as a developer more than offsets that, you know, and it's all these years later, you know, it's still good. Will Lizard Wizard course be free? Some aspects will definitely be free. There's no question about that. So I answered why Ruby Rules. That's the coupon code. You know, maybe I should do this. Hold on. I go Ruby Rules. Hold on. For 50% off. How's that? Does that work? All right. What's going on with this S? Anyway, so there you go, guys. I found a bug in the software. Oh well, it's not working. So that's the story. All right, forget it. So, how we do? 35 minutes. I'll answer one more question and I'm out of here. My apologies for that. That's funny. I suppose after applying the coupon, you can get haha jokes on you, no discount for your Ruby fanboy. I should have done that actually. No, Ruby Rules is going to give you 50% off. It's the Black Friday thing. Good evening from the Ukraine. My hometown. New here. Lisa Laba, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I am. My family is originally from Kiev, but I'm Canadian. Hey, Stefan, how and where to learn computational thinking, and what are the best learning materials for it? Many thanks, greetings from Morocco. By the way, have you ever visited Morocco before? I have not visited Morocco, but this is one of the places I definitely want to go. It looks amazing, amazing. Yeah, computational thinking. Yeah, I couldn't say. I don't have, just Google it. I don't have any recommendations. My apologies on that one. When should I start writing unit tests for a web app? I write unit tests. I'm into unit tests once you have the use case is very well established. When the use case is very well established in the app, it's not going to change. Then you write use case around it. I don't like writing use cases too early in the development cycle because you can often change the code and then you have to rewrite use cases. Thank you. I'm glad you do. Yeah, I'm going crazy with the marble, by the way. Marble all over the place. It's going to be great. Go black marble. I thought about that, but let's see, white seems to be the style now. Yeah. Good night. Thanks for joining in. Looks good. I appreciate it. Thanks to that's it. I gotta come on the live stream and I gotta bring everything I gotta do. So that you guys can comment and give me your opinions. Is this good marble? Is this a good phone? Is my girlfriend, is she okay? You think she's okay? Let you guys decide. Glad you're finally admitting that Ruby rules. Yes. PHP versus JS. Which one will have better chances of getting for a first job? It feels like JS is way crowdy. Thanks. I would look around at the market, what you want to get into, and then make your choice based on that. Again, for small business and freelance, PHP rules. And since so many young people, young developers who want to get into the game, since they're so against PHP, and then there's all these PHP jobs out there, it's like a big opening there. And that's, you ask PHP coders, yeah, I got all kinds of work, How many courses can one purchase with that coupon code? You can buy the whole collection if you want. The whole collection. Can you turn a website into an app? Yes, to convert my website into an app. Well, that means you need to learn your web stack. If you can't answer that question, you got to learn the web stack. Spirit looks good. Yeah, I thought it was a good slab. Yeah. Diego, how to feel motivated when you're learning to code? Thanks. I think I covered that. Watch some earlier live streams where I cover that. I think I'll put out a dedicated video just on that so it's easy to find. All right, guys, how are we doing? I got to go. I was supposed to be somewhere a few minutes ago. So 40-minute live. If you like the stream, please give me a thumbs up. It helps with the Google algos and it lets me know. I bet you guys like it. And that's it for today. We'll end off with the my ASMR. See, you get code, you get job training here, you learn about Marble, and you get ASMR relaxation. So when you're watching this part of the video, breathe in deeply and slowly 10 times. 1, 2, and it will calm you down. It'll feel great.